And good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome inside the Clark Athletic Center here at UMass Boston. Game 2 of the Black Coaches Classic. The first time this event has been held. In the opener, it was the Tufts Jumbos triumphing over the Leslie Lynx. And in the nightcap, we have your host, UMass Boston Beacons, taking on the 25th ranked Judges of Brandeis. Mason Stelf alongside Odera Jones for the second of these two games. We had an outstanding game one, Odera. Hopefully game 2 can live up to it.
Yeah, this will be a great challenge for the Beacons, going up against a great Brandeis team, ranked Brandeis team, big Brandeis team. It's gonna be a great game.
It certainly will. As we take a look at the stats for the first opening couple of games, Brandeis has just played 3 times, the Beacons 4 times in the early going, but you can see this is a Brandeis team eerily similar in terms of stats, though not in terms of stature, to Leslie. They score a lot. They will allow a decent number of points as well. The Beacons a much more typical style, at least in terms of stats, 72 points per game scored, 58.5 points allowed. Basically mirror images of each other in terms of field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, not too far apart either. Brandeis, though, +6 on the boards. Beacons -1.5. Beacons are going to have to make sure, as Odera said, this is a big Brandeis team. Got to make sure that you at least keep it close in terms of the rebounding battle. And the turnovers per game also similar as well. So hopefully this game is as close on paper as it is in reality. We should have a fantastic night of basketball ahead as we take a look at the team leaders between these two sides. Charles Mitchell, you'll see Charles and Charlie out there for UMass Boston. Charlie will do much more of the point guard work, where Charles is the spot-up shooter. Charles averaging 23.8 per game. Tommy Eastman, 15 points and change for Brandeis. Field goal percentage, Malik Brooms leading the way for UMass Boston. More Charles Mitchell in terms of the three-point shooting and free throw shooting percentages, respectively. The rebounding, DiGregorio, Lorquette will have to do the work for UMass Boston with Charlie Mitchell. As I said, he will do much more of the point guard work, leading the team in assists per game for Brandeis. Haggerty, Sawyer, Lien leading the categories of field goal, three-point, and free throw shooting percentages, respectively, with Haggerty averaging just over 7.7 rebounds per game. Tommy Eastman leads the team in points. He also dishes the ball as well, leading in assists per game at 4.0. Just as we did in the first game of the day, our matchup to watch is the coaching battle, Odera, between 2 more of the 7 black coaches at the Division III level here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Jason Harris, Gene Bain, 2 coaches who have been at their institutions now for several years and are trying to build something. Jason Harris for your Beacons, Gene Bain on the other side for Brandeis.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, especially for 2 local guys. You know, Gene's being from Medford and Jason being from Bedford. So it'll be good to see 2 guys that have really done a good job with these programs. Guys that have worked hard, working at the Division I level, and being able to get that opportunity to run their own programs.
Certainly, we will trace these 2 coaches as the game goes on, but you can see Jason Harris out of Rhode Island College, fellow Little East Conference in his playing days, but then made his way to Division U LIU Brooklyn, which no longer exists anymore. They have merged and are now part of Long Island University, the Sharks at the D1 level. Gene Bain, graduate of Northeastern, up in downtown Boston back from 2002, has spent plenty of time in the Ivy League grooming not only outstanding student athletes or outstanding athletes, but outstanding young men in the classroom as well with his work at Dartmouth and Columbia. And we had an opportunity to talk to these coaches, all 4 of them discussing this outstanding event, and we take a look now at what it means to these 4 men to lead their teams in this fantastic 2-game event.
The concept for the event came to me just kind of through talking with other coaches in the business on both men's and women's side. I think the common theme was that we all were a little frustrated at times when we were assistant coaches with, kind of the lack of advancement and the stigmas that were being placed on us as, only a recruiter things of those sorts. So, it kind of came out of that, I think, with conversations. And I think, like everybody, I spent a long time and a lot of hours on Zoom with a lot of conversation and access to coaches that I probably wouldn't have had in a normal year.
My first reaction was it was a no-brainer. I've known Jay for a long time, and obviously with everything that's gone on over the last couple of years with social justice and athletics and just the world in general, I thought it'd be a great opportunity for us to be part of it.
I think the event would have been important 18 years ago. I think the event is important now. I think with everything going on, I think it's important. We've read all those statements of support, all these athletic departments and coaches and schools. So I think now it's time.
I think it's important just because there's an attention on it. Unfortunately, due to, recent events in our country, it's, brought an awareness and has opened up some eyes and ears that maybe for a little while was a little bit dormant. So I think it's just important to capitalize on that attention that's currently there, and again, do it in a way that celebrates as opposed to something that's pointing a finger. And we just got to keep that momentum and keep getting our stories out there and getting our faces out there and just normalizing it, honestly, so that people could see that, hey, these guys are getting it done. Maybe that'll open the door for some more down the road.
We're not shying away from the issue. I think that's really the main thing. It just, like I said, it shows some type of recognition that there are places that, are giving Black coaches opportunity. I think that this event is, a step in the right direction. Of course, it's a lot more things that, need to improve in society. But I think, having an event like this and, putting some light on it is definitely a step in the right direction.
A great way to shine a light on, the awareness of, the amount of Black coaches that are at the D3 level in our state, but also to celebrate the coaches that are, at this level and doing it. And I think there's a certain responsibility that comes with, being in the seat that I'm fortunate enough to be in. And I think the more that, you could bring light to it and awareness to it, to hopefully set the path for future guys to follow, as well as also showcase what we're capable of as Black men coaching.
It gives a lot of recognition to the Black coaches and I guess all the Black people that would like to eventually get into coaching one day. Have an event like this, to have all of these Black coaches to coach against each other, all in the same event, I think that is rare. And I think it's a special event.
It's going to help the growth of, younger coaches believing that they have a chance to be successful, believing they have a chance to get a shot to coach at the Division III level of being a head coach. I think it definitely sheds light on some of the things that's been going on as far as, minority coaches getting opportunities to coach. It's going to be one night where you get the chance to see 4 coaches coming from 4 really good universities compete.
I hope that there are great games, great competition. And I'm sure that there'll be a high skill level for sure of competition. I'm just looking forward to all of that skill level to be shown, by programs that are ran by Black coaches.
Obviously, I'm hoping obviously to get a win. That's one. 2, obviously just to interact with some of these other coaches going to be involved in the event, to have our players interact with their players, and to maybe form a bond that lasts for a long period of time. And also to show our kids in the other schools, their kids, that, again, anything's possible if you put your mind to it.
And for our players, I think it's, important for them to be able to see, Black faces in a position of leadership. Not that that they don't see that or that they don't appreciate it, but I think, the more the merrier. The more examples that they could get to see that Black people could, be in these roles, the better. Because when they graduate, they're all going to be in positions to either work for, Black people, or potentially have to hire and make decisions on Black people. So I think the more positive examples that they could have as they embark on their professional careers is the best thing that hopefully this event could continue to provide.
So I hope that we can have more faces on the television. So I hope that more kids, now that they're younger, they're watching the game, they're mesmerized by the faces on TV the way I was mesmerized by John Thompson, John Chaney, Nolan Richardson, Doc Rivers. those guys, and even following for Charlie Titus, right? So I want young kids now to look over on the bench and see like, hey, that guy's in charge of $1 billion corporation, the Celtics. That guy's in charge of the world-renowned university, Tufts, Brandeis. That guy went back and played for his alma mater, and now he's, the head coach there, Leslie. So, that's what I want from it. I want other people to take things from it. I just want to be able to give.
And we welcome you back to the Black Coaches Classic. We take a look at Gene Bain, fourth-year head coach of Brandeis, who he led to the ECAC Tournament Championship back in 2019, now part of the UAA, 37-20, his record. But he is a longtime assistant, has gone through the ranks at the D1 level, mentioned that he has plenty of time in the Ivy League with the likes of Columbia, Dartmouth, and started his career at the University of New Hampshire. So an outstanding coaching pedigree for Gene Bain, similar to the opposite number, Jason Harris, in charge of your UMass Boston Beacons, an outstanding coaching pedigree in his own right. Seventh-year head coach of the Beacons, 4 straight winning seasons. He's the first coach ever to lead the Beacons to 4 straight seasons above 500. He is just above 500 at 68 and 67 overall, and he won 3 Northeast Conference titles when he was at LIU Brooklyn from 2010 to 2013. That school has merged with Long Island University Post to create the current Sharks at the D1 level of Long Island University. We take a look at the starting lineups for these two teams. First, for your UMass Boston Beacons, they are the hosts. They will put out a very familiar starting lineup. Charles and Charlie Mitchell will be in the backcourt, numbers 1 and 2 respectively for your UMass Boston Beacons. Charlie will wear number 1. He will do much more of the point guard work, whereas Charles Mitchell leads the way with 23.8 points per game. He will be the spot-up shooting guard. Joined in the backcourt by Stephen DiGregorio out of Marlborough, Massachusetts, the true freshman, 6'2". They're going to need his size as well, averaging just over 11 points per game. Tommy Burris will be out there as well, 6'4" guard out of Dalton, Massachusetts, the junior, and he is originally from Dalton, and it is in a one-man front court with Malik Lorquette out of Sharon, Massachusetts. Opposite them for the Brandeis judges, Terrell Brown, Dylan Lien, Colin Sawyer, one of the 2 co-captains with Chandler Jones, who comes off the bench, Tommy Eastman, and Nolan Haggerty, the starting 5 for the Brandeis judges today. It is going to be a tall task for UMass Boston to win this one. We did the national anthem after game or before game 1, so we will not have it here in the second game of our doubleheader. The teams will make their way out onto the floor. UMass Boston will be wearing their home whites, trimmed in blue. Opposite them, the Brandeis judges, all in navy, trimmed in a little bit of gold. Should be a great one, Odera.
It's going to be a great matchup. Contrast in styles, Brandeis has the size. Much like we talked about with Tufts, the size, it's going to be size against speed, So when you get those kind of games, it's good to see who's going to make the other one bend to their will,
The second of our 2 ranked teams as well. Tufts came in ranked number 11, but they were 0-4 after a struggling start. Brandeis is living up to the billing in the early going of their top 25 ranking. They are 2-1 as this one's tapped out of bounds, and the judges will have the first possession. Brandeis under Gene Bain, trying to improve to 3-1. They have wins on the season against the Corsairs of UMass Dartmouth and Rivier at home. Their only loss on the road at Emerson. UMass Boston comes in 3-1. Victories in their last 3 against Coast Guard, Bridgewater State, and Colby Sawyer after they lost their opener 69-63 at Babson. Brandeis immediately goes inside, double team, trying to rip it free was Charlie Mitchell. Charlie wearing number 1, protesting the shot, and it's a shot clock violation, and have to like the defense on the first possession if you're Coach Jason Harris and the Beacons.
Yeah, you start off the game, you get them to take a shot clock violation. That's what you want to see.
Charlie Mitchell runs the point. His twin Charles heads to the far left corner. Possessing the ball on the right side, Malik Lorquette. He'll be the lone forward in there. We'll see if he can impose his will offensively as he will battle inside with Nolan Haggerty. Haggerty's 6'6", Lorquette 6'5". Catch at the right elbow. Burris. DiGregorio resets things. Charlie inside, blocked, and it looks like it's going to be back-to-back shot clock violations as the two number ones went at it, and Terrell Brown gets the block for Brandeis.
Early on, you like to see the way Brandeis is jumping to the ball. They're moving with every pass. Anytime that ball goes from side to side, they're jumping on every pass. So this is going to be an interesting test of wills for both teams.
Oh, if this was our first game, we would have had about 7-8 possessions by now. Instead, we've had 2. The team's running the offense a little bit more patiently than we saw between Tufts and Leslie. This one kicked out, chased off the three-point line, going for the short free throw line jumper. Takes a couple of bounces around the rim, but the road team doesn't usually get the roll, and they don't there. We remain scoreless, just over 90 seconds gone. Charles on the crossover, goes between the legs, cuts inside, behind the back, nifty pass, and finished. Corner 3, DiGregorio.
It's a good penetrating kick there by the Mitchell twin. I'll call him the Mitchell twin for that one.
Another nice quick hands in there, Gregorio off of him, but the Beacons active hands, active feet defensively in their first couple of possessions at this end of the floor. Inbound pass comes to Brown. Moving it around the perimeter, Tommy Eastman, 6'4", but has big bulky frame that he's going to have certainly a good 20, 30 pounds advantage when he's matched up on the offensive end with Burris. But Beacons quickly able to get their hands in there again, force the turnover. Charles down the other end, another flying in. I believe that Brown got a piece of it in transition defense.
But you saw how quick Brandeis was to recover to that fast break. They have a bunch of guys. They can play a lot of different positions. They can get out and they can get back on transition. They're a very good team.
Brandeis calls the timeout. So they will call it. Shouldn't become the media timeout yet. It's not. We still have the under 16 media timeout to come as the 30-second timeout is burned by head coach Gene Bain. So we'll stay with you for this initial one as it's just the 30-second. But we will break for media timeouts in this one, unlike game 1 where we played right on through. Boy, the first game went by fast. This one looks like it's going to be a little bit more of a defensive battle, at least in the early going. We'll have those media timeouts. It will certainly not be your up and down affair, triggering threes every 2 seconds, it felt like, between Leslie and Tufts.
No, absolutely not. I think that's going to be one of those games where these teams are going to try and get into what they run, and it's going to be a scrappy game.
Corner 3, knocked down, rattled home by Nolan Haggerty. Actually, that was Tommy Eastman who gets the first 3 on the board. So both teams with a 3-point field goal, knotting things at 3. 3 minutes gone in the first half. Nearly a travel against DiGregorio. Moves it out. Charles Mitchell gets inside. Charles to Charlie for 3. Rolls out. Easy rebound, Haggerty. See if Brandeis can trigger the transition offense. They can't as the Beacons get back nicely.
Great pass. Great cut.
Beautiful cut. That's a big to little pass as well as Eastman finds the cutting Terrell Brown.
Brown did a great job of setting his man up, taking a step to the top of the key, and cutting backdoor. It was a great play.
Beacons will make their first substitution, it looks like. Brandeis making one as well. Now, starting lineup still in there for UMass Boston. First sub in there for the Judges, though, is number 3, Chandler Jones, one of the 2 co-captains, along with Colin Sawyer, number 12 in Navy. Lorquette hands off. Charlie Mitchell. Charlie pushes Lorquette through. Swung around DiGregorio. Here's Charles Mitchell, the leading scorer. Charles hoists. Toilet bowls out of there. Trying to track it down is Burris, and he does.
Great scrappy play. Gave himself a second chance opportunity.
Charlie Mitchell couldn't finish in the zone. 5-3, Judges on top, and they throw the basketball away. Eastman wasn't sure if the pass was intended for him. I believe it was, but Dylan Lien has it go off of his hands as well. And that will bring us to the first media timeout. 15:59 to go in this one. But we will take a 30-second timeout and come back on the other side with more action. It's 5-3, Judges on top early.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
And we welcome you back again. Teams still at their benches. First media timeout, under 16. It's Brandeis 5 and your UMass Boston Beacons 3. Mason Stelf alongside Odera Jones. Odera, we kind of went through this in the first game, but for our new viewers out there who are tuning in to watch their Beacons or their Judges, this is the Black Coaches Classic. This is obviously a two-game mini tournament, if you want to call it that, that's obviously a lot more than just the basketball. What does this mean to you as a former Black coach yourself and someone who's been around this game for so long? Well, why is this game, or why is this event so important?
I think it's important because of the simple fact that it gives these student athletes, not even necessarily student athletes, but children of color, the opportunity to see coaches in leadership positions. It's not often that we see that, unfortunately, but especially when it comes to college athletics, it's not something that's caught on as it should. So to have an event like this and to have something that showcases Black coaches and their ability to lead programs, it's a great opportunity. And like we were saying in the first game, representation matters.
It certainly does. Talk about a scrum on that one. Thank goodness I didn't have to try and call play-by-play of that, because that ball was on the ground for the better part of 10 seconds as everyone went for it. Nobody came up with it.
Yeah, I tried to keep talking, man, to bail you out of that one. I didn't want you to.
I mean, the ball is around. It's not a football out there, but it was bouncing around like one. Conference championship weekend coming up next week, but all heck breaking loose in college football today with Michigan upsetting Ohio State. Alabama was in overtime with Auburn when this one tipped off.
Wow.
So certainly a crazy day of college football, but we appreciate you spending some of your Saturday night. Sure, many of you are still wrapping up your Thanksgiving leftovers, as I know my family still is. We still have what feels like probably a third of a turkey after how much we ate after the first 2 days, and yet we're going to have turkey sandwiches for the next week.
I found that for Thanksgiving, it's all about how creative you can be after Thanksgiving. You know, turkey sandwich, turkey soup, turkey something else. You know, you just got to use it as much as you can, or try to. I don't even know if it's possible.
So many different ways that you try. You certainly not. That's why you definitely are not going to have turkey for Christmas. You have the turkey for Thanksgiving, then you probably have a ham or something for Christmas to try and change things up as Di Gregorio heads to the line, knocks in both free throws, and we're tied at 5 minutes into this one. A little bit of a full court press applied by Jason Harris and the Beacons. Trying to get it over the half court line. They do so into the hands of Derek Justice off the bench, running the point, number 0 in Navy. Brown to the right side. Finds a teammate. Now bailing things out, Nolan Haggerty. Gives back off to Brown. Brown, Justice. Justice off the dribble. Gets inside, tries to draw contact, does so, and will head to the line for 2.
Maybe an ill-advised there foul by the Beacons. I mean, he looked a little out of control going to the basket, but he ended up getting bailed out by the Beacons. I know Coach Harris is probably not happy about that one.
You got the tallest player on either team out on the floor right now, number 30, Toby Harris for Brandeis. Long and lanky. Can only make the comparison to Chet Holmgren, of course, of Gonzaga in terms of the length, the lankiness of the true freshman, 6'8", out of Durham, North Carolina, averages 15 points or 15 minutes off the bench. Just over 6 points per game for number 30 in Navy. Beacons are wrestling with their own man, and they're going to turn the basketball back over. You love the fight for the rebound between number 24, Malik Lorquette, and Malik Brooms, the two Maliks battling, but they're on the same team, and they turn the basketball over.
Wow, does that show you how important the Beacons think this game is? They want the ball, however they can get it.
Definitely an unforced error. You love the fight to get the rebound, but not at the expense of your own team. Speaking of Malik Lorquette, smacks that ball away for a definitive block.
Great
Charlie Mitchell nearly turns the basketball over, but regains his feet and sets things up at the point. It's 6-5, and that's going to be a tripping call. Whistled against Brandeis and number 13, David Perez out of Miami. First foul on Perez, third on the team.
So far, we're seeing both teams kind of feeling their way out of this, you know, trying to kind of get an advantage, and it's very competitive. It's going to be a great game.
Certainly is. Just the polar opposite of what we had in the first game as Charlie Mitchell heads to the bench, replaced at the point guard spot by Bobby Joy, number 0, wearing those red shoes out of Harwich, 5'10", averaging 13.8 minutes per game. As that one's cashed in, it's a 2-point field goal by Charles Mitchell. 7-6, Beacons on top. Jones moves it to Justice. Justice to Haggerty. Skip pass. That's the 6'8 freshman launching from distance and missing Toby Harris. Joy. DiGregorio on the crossover. Goes in amongst two defenders, and it is going to be Beacon basketball. Nearly an up and down as he had no room, and he kind of gets bailed out by the out-of-bounds call.
He got lucky on that one, I tell you that.
Number 21 in right. Eastman back in for Brandeis. 7-6 in the early going. By this time, there were about 25 points on the board between Leslie and Tufts.
Oh, no doubt about it.
How about that nice little drive from Bobby Joy? Using the left hand, shielding with his body, and finishing off glass. Eastman. Harris. Haggerty, you got 3 bigs in there right now. Brandeis going large, trying to see if they can find some mismatches inside. It's a kick to Eastman for 3, and he knocks it down.
Great driving kick there. Very patient in the offense.
This is as big a lineup as Brandeis can put out there with Eastman, Perez, Haggerty, and Harris. Joy gets the bump, and that's going to be the second foul on David Perez in the last 3 possessions, and he's going to have to head to the bench. Terrell Brown will come right back in.
When I was coaching, you call these games grinded out games. Like this is gonna take some fight to win this game for both teams.
This is one, you were the assistant coach at Sam Houston State. I imagine this was a very frustrating game for the head coach, and your job is just to try and keep him under control.
My job was to keep him calm. Keep them calm, keep the players calm, and tell them, like, hey, we're in good shape. We're in good shape. And then as soon as they turn around, start biting my nails.
Yep. Oh, there's an art to winning ugly. It's not necessarily fun to watch. It's not always fun to call. But winning ugly, it counts all the same.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's going to be out of bounds, no doubt. Had that left foot entirely over the sideline. Toby Harris commits the turnover. We're knotted at 9 in the early going. Mason Stauff and Odera Jones for the second of our 2 games here on this Saturday night from the Black Coaches Classic. UMass Boston, Brandeis in this second game, following up Leslie and Tufts from our opener. Tufts down 1 after the opening 20 minutes, but would come back and win that one by 24. Charles Mitchell on the crossover, trying to take Justice off the dribble. Kicks to the outside. It's back out top, Joy. Joy making the move around the perimeter. Simon Poro.
Wow.
And that was initially, the thought was there from DiGregorio, but the run was not.
He had the right idea. He was going. He probably should have taken that first shot, but it was a good idea.
We're at the under 12 timeout. We have a couple guest appearances tonight. The first will be made by the head coach of the Harvard Crimson, Tommy Amaker. We take a look at what he had to say for this outstanding event.
Hi, this is Tommy Amaker, head basketball coach of Harvard. I just want to say congratulations and welcome to the Black Coaches Classic. The inaugural Black Coaches Classic is going to be a wonderful event and a yearly event that we're so excited to have hosted here in our great city of Boston. Congrats to all the schools and all the Black coaches for this wonderful event.
We thank Coach Amaker for reaching out, someone who's very familiar with head coach Gene Bain of the Brandeis Judges. Coach Bain having been the associate head coach and an assistant at Columbia from 2016 to 2018 after making his way from the associate head coach position at Dartmouth from 2012 to 2016. So everybody, certainly a tight-knit family over there in the Ivy League. But in terms of a community, when it comes to only having 7 black head coaches at the Division III level in the entire state of Massachusetts with all these incredible schools, you talk about what a tight-knit community it is. Now, it obviously needs to grow, and that's why we have this event here tonight.
Yeah, it's the community is great because of the simple fact some of these guys are going through similar things when it comes to coaching and recruiting and coaching problems, you know? So it's great to have these other coaches, even though the number's not high, it's good to have these other coaches to be able to reach out to for guidance, for help, and just, hey, sometimes you have a bad game. Another coach may have seen it in that black coaches community and might have some advice for you.
And ultimately, the coaching community in general is as tight-knit as anything, and everyone goes through the same stuff. It's the fact that we need to have an event like this shows you to bring attention to what hopefully will come to the point where we no longer need events like this as Charles Mitchell drills the 3. But every coach goes through the same growing pains. You don't always go through it at the same time or at the same pace. But in the world of collegiate coaching, when you got all these young men and women, because coaching is universal, young men and women out there, you're trying to get them. And here at the D3 level, it's not about trying to get them to the NBA or the WNBA.
No.
It's trying to grow them into strong, upstanding men and women in the community.
Yes, absolutely, and that's the difference. And I don't know if many people realize between Division III and Division II and Division I. Like the goal of Division III is you want to continue to help them grow as people and individuals who are able to add to society. You know, we're watching a basketball game right now, but we could see there's going to be future lawyers, there's going to be future doctors, engineers, that'll come out of this game.
Certainly, because Colin Sawyer banks that one in. And when you were at UMass Boston, you worked in community outreach, so you got a chance to interact with not only the players on the athletic teams, but get out in the community here in this outstanding city of Boston and in the greater Boston area. And like you said, all these young men that we're seeing here tonight, if one of them makes the NBA, fantastic. Somehow I don't believe that that's going to be the case. So the old cliche of going pro in something other than sports applies to every single one of the young men that you see out there tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. You couldn't have said it any better. I mean, this community is a tight-knit community in Boston, especially the area where UMass Boston is, the Dorchester, South Boston. I mean, all of the people in these communities want to see kids from this university do well. They have a connection with them, you know. It's the blue-collar families that are sending their kids to, may not have all the means, but they're sending their kids to college, and they're sending their kids to college to be successful, you know. And that's why I think a lot of people have that connection to UMass Boston and some of the public schools within the Boston community.
Haggerty tried to go on the fake, did all the hard work, got a wide open look, but then too strong with the right hand off the board. Inside the final 10 minutes of the first half, and it is 13-11 as that one flipped up in traffic. No call. They are really letting them play in the early going, these officials. And it is worth noting, we mentioned it briefly at the end of game one, Odera, but all these officials in this classic as well are African American.
Yes.
And that's important too. It is the Black Coaches Classic, but that doesn't mean that the representation stops there.
No. They did a really good job with this event at making sure that this event was something that there was representation on all levels, from the coaches to the administrators to the referees. Being able, I don't know if people understand how important it is for any kid from this community or surrounding communities to come here and see this. It's not something we see often. That's why it's such a special event, because you're seeing a group of Black referees, Black coaches. It's really tremendous to see.
Not to mention Black broadcasting,
yes,
which is
Black
important as well.
Which is important. That is very important. You know, it's good to be able to be a part of this. You know, it's the first ever event of this, such as this, but it's good to be a part of it and doing my part. It's, even though it's minimal, you know, it's great to be a part of it.
Charlie Mitchell had that nice shot in the lane. That was answered by a foul down the other, and Haggerty will head to the line to shoot two. There's a timeout on the floor. We will take a 30-second break and come back on the other side. Right now, it's the Beacons 15 and the Brandeis Judges 11. As the teams return to the floor, we return with you as well. You're watching the Beacon Broadcasting Network, part of the LEC Network on this Saturday night. The Black Coaches Classic. Myself, Mason Stell, Odera Jones with you. Heading to the line is Haggerty, Nolan Haggerty, 6'6" senior from Yarmouth, Maine. Much too strong on the first free throw of two. Charlie Mitchell having that really nice, nifty jumper on the other end to give the Beacons a 4-point lead. Normally, Charles Mitchell, his twin brother, is doing the majority of the scoring. Charlie, the assist man. But we were talking about it, joking around a little bit. When you're out there with your twin brother and one guy is known for the scoring, the other guy is known for the passing, there's got to be a little bit of a lot of a sibling rivalry that those two have had throughout the years.
I'll tell you what, they do a good job. If there is some of that, they do a great job of hiding it, because, I mean, when they're looking at me and saying, "Oh, you're the passer and you're the scorer," you're like, I can score too. Yeah, don't discredit me. So they do a good job of playing off of one another.
Takes a special set of twins. You see some twins, they love to play together. You see other twins, you could never catch them going to the same school and playing for the same team if your life depended on it.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And Charlie and Charles have, you know, they've played together for so long. They went to high school together and made the decision together to come to UMass Boston. So, I mean, more power to them for that. I'm with you. I might have gone to the opposite school of my twin.
Certainly. There's the Beacon athletic programs across the board. The twins are something fairly common. You started the season with twins on the women's basketball side as well. You have the Schweike twins on the women's soccer side as well, who were true freshmen this season. So UMass Boston, when they recruit, hey, you get two for the price of one.
Hey, bring them both. Mom, Dad, you want to get your twins in the one place? Let's bring them to UMass Boston, you know?
15-14, Beacons on top. See if they can get something rolling offensively. That's a nice take by Lorquette, and he finishes on the reverse.
It's a great move.
Didn't necessarily see a lot of big post play in our first game. Lots of threes, particularly in the first half. How about that drive inside? Again, all the hard work got done by Terrell Brown, but the finish just not there. We remain low scoring, herky-jerky, really no offensive rhythm on either side for both teams.
Well, you see a lot of length out here, and it's interesting to see that you have guys like Haggerty and a couple of those other big guys really haven't been a factor yet.
No, they haven't. We do have another media timeout. This one is the under 8 timeout. So we'll take a 30-second break, come back on the other half. 7:44 to go. Beacon 17, Judges 14.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris. The subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's one of those moments you never forget.
Under 8 timeout, 7:44 to go. Mason Stalfadera Jones, 17-14 Beacons. Well, we look at the stats pregame. We saw Brandeis scoring around 85, 90 points a game, allowing 75 points. Beacons can score in high-scoring bunches. We thought, okay, we might have something similar to game one. Yeah, we were wrong.
Very wrong. Very wrong.
Defensive battle through the first 12-plus minutes in this one. Allow us to have a nice conversation about this event, what it means. This is an out-of-conference game between two high-flying teams that are playing much more defensive basketball than we might have expected. Nice quick hands there, Derek Justice smacking a heads-up, fans, as this one careened into the crowd. Joy back in there, running the point for UMass Boston. Charles Mitchell possessing the ball with Charlie. Charlie having the ball now. Gets through the lane, kicks to the corner. This one just a bit too strong on the shot attempt from Tommy Burris, but you got 3 ball handlers in there, Charles, Charlie, and Joy, along with the 2 posts, Burris, who is a guard by trade, but because he's 6'4", he's going to play the post, particularly on the defensive end, and Lorquette, the natural big.
Both teams have been very active on defense. A lot of hands. This is no game for the week, that's for sure.
And they've gotten back defensively. I can't remember a fast break opportunity yet.
No, not yet. These teams are doing a very good job of just locking down and defending. Not a lot of reaching. They're moving their feet, staying in front of guys.
Lorquette did get beat that time, did commit the reach. He knew he was going to have a big game. Has a couple of points, but his work defensively against a much bigger unit. This is not Brandeis's big man unit. We saw that earlier with Eastman, Haggerty, and Harris all in at once. This is a little bit smaller as they throw the inlet pass. Tough catch by Chandler Jones. He goes 1-on-2. Couldn't finish inside tight. Eastman with the offensive rebound. He's fouled and will head to the free throw line.
And you see as those shots go up, a bunch of Beacons crashing the boards. Coach Harris, speaking to him briefly before the game, said rebounding is going to be important. They're bigger. Some of their guys are stronger. They're going to need to rebound the ball. That's going to be the key for them.
Typically on the offensive glass as well. You got to make sure you limit Brandeis's second, third chance opportunities. We saw it in the first game when Tufts finally figured out that they were just bigger and could go inside and bully Leslie and get 1, 2, 3 bites at the apple. It all came together, and they outscored Leslie by 25 in the second half.
So true.
Brandeis has the size advantage. Beacons has to make sure that they limit them to one opportunity on the offensive end and are very clinical on their offensive end because they're not going to get too many second looks.
Yep, absolutely.
Charlie on the crossover. This is a good defensive possession for Brandeis, and that's going to go off of Charlie Mitchell out of bounds for a turnover.
Well, they have to be very careful in getting into that one-on-one no ball movement, because the way to beat a good defensive team is to move the ball.
And they certainly have good ball handlers out there that can move the ball quickly. Love those old basketball cliches. I really do. The basketball, a passed ball will move a lot faster than anyone can dribble it.
Yep. And you see now it's how you watch some of the NBA teams. I mean, everyone wants to be the Warriors, right? The best thing that the Warriors do is move the ball. I mean, he put Steph in. That goes without saying.
True. But in principle, absolutely right. Ball movement And those are the pretty highlight reel plays, are the quick 1, 2, 3 passes all in a row, almost that weave up the court that you practice from when you're first playing. And it's, of course, you always battle who would get to finish the layup at the end of the weave. But still, that old weave play, when it's executed in a game, it's beautiful and quick passing around the perimeter. When there's not going to be any fast break points, well, you got to essentially generate something off of your passing. And Beacons didn't have it that last possession.
They're moving that ball from side to side, gets that defense moving, makes the defense uncomfortable, and then it's about ball movement and body movement. And I think once UMass Boston starts to figure that out during this game, they'll understand that, hey, there's going to be lanes there for them, but it's not going to come off the one shot.
Well, Brandeis is going to get another look off of the offensive rebound on the free throw and taking it to the hole and finishing. Ryan Power, number 15. Actually, it's Dylan Lien, number 5, who finishes, and that's going to trigger the timeout from Jason Harris, who has seen his team, who's led for the majority of this first half. Now they're down 2. And this is a critical couple of minutes here. UMass Boston, this has not been their best half of basketball, but you would say that there are slight underdogs in this one. So it's so important that over these next 5 minutes and 39 seconds, you make sure that this doesn't suddenly become an 8-10 point game.
Absolutely right. Coach Harris in his huddle is probably saying, hey guys, let's slow it down, let's stick around, let's hang around until halftime and see where we go from there, while Coach Bain is probably telling his kids, like, hey, let's try and open it up a little bit, get great shots, get to the basket, we're getting to the free throw line, and continue doing that and see what we can do.
Charlie Mitchell walks it up, brings it into the front court. Charles heads off to the left, 3 high for UMass Boston this offensive set. Picking up his dribble, in trouble was Burris. He is able to get it to Charles. Charles matched up in the man-to-man with Chandler Jones. Gets inside, kicks to the corner, 3 on the way. Well off. And it's a 3-on-2 opportunity. Nearly a travel. Brandeis hasn't had many fast break looks, and that one a little bit sloppy. They get it into the post. Tried to go on the reverse. Charlie Mitchell stayed vertical. And here comes Beacons the other way. Lorquette for 2 on the finger roll.
Great run the floor by Lorquette. He got to the basket, kept on running, kept on moving those feet.
It's a big who affected the play on one end as he went up there with Charlie Mitchell to affect the shot, and then hustles down the other end and gets an easy finger roll. Charlie on the turnover. Inside to Lorquette again. Kicks out. An extra pass. 3 from Charles.
Ooh. Wow.
I like the extra pass. You found your leading scorer. That's just not the result that you expected.
No, that was a little surprising. Right idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice pass inside, and this time it is Ryan Power, number 15 in blue.
Great quick move there. Caught it, didn't do much with it, just caught it and turned.
Lorquette heavily involved the last couple of possessions, and he gets swatted away at the top. Went up against 3 defenders and did not win that battle. Short corner jumper. Left short that time by Power. 21-19, Brandeis on top. Charlie Mitchell all the way to the cup. Put it off back rim. Easy rebound, Derek Justice. Justice
It'd be
hands off.
interesting to see if Brandeis slows down a little bit. No, it's going up.
I feel like everything that we've said has happened the opposite.
It's the opposite every time.
Broadcasters jinx in full effect. That's a beautiful pass. Twin to twin. Charlie to Charles for 2.
Great pass, great play.
How about the little English on the spin as he threaded it through, had it spin right back to Charles. It's almost as if those two have been together for a long time.
Yeah, it feels like it, doesn't it?
Since birth,
yeah,
almost. Eastman tries to go into the post. Lorquette holding his ground, nearly forces a turnover, and it will be a turnover. Brandeis coughs it up. And that'll bring us to the final media timeout of the opening half. That gives us an opportunity to take a quick break, and when we come back on the other side, we'll take a look at what's coming up for your UMass Boston Beacons as we roll through this holiday period here in Boston.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
Teams begin to head out on the court. Gives us an opportunity to look at what's coming for your UMass Boston Beacons. It's an interesting period of the year as you have the Thanksgiving break followed by a Christmas break coming up. But as we turn the calendar over to December, saw those games there coming up against Eastern Connecticut State, as the next game up will be a conference game. Little East Conference does things a little bit differently than everybody else as Charlie Mitchell kicks it into the corner. Tough pass by Ikalua, and he's fouled as he heads to the basket.
And that's some of the ball movement that I was talking about. That ball went from side to side, and they ended up with a straight line drive.
But you have that Eastern Connecticut State game on the road, December the 4th, to kick off conference play down at the Warriors. And then they will face off against WestCon here in the second half of that opening weekend conference slate, 7 p.m. December the 7th. We'll have that one for you on the Little East Conference Network here on the Beacon Broadcasting Network. Then they are back out of conference for the next couple of games against Suffolk, at Eastern Nazarene, at the Vikings of Salem State, before their final game here in 2021 will again be in conference against the Anchormen of Rhode Island College on December the 18th, also on the road. 22-21 Beacons, 2:23 to go in the opening half. Entry pass, Haggerty.
Great entry pass.
Nice touch from the 6'6", Haggerty with the right hand. Little hook over the top. Puts it in for Duke. Charlie Mitchell skying through and getting the board to DiGregorio, and then he coughs it up into the waiting arms of Austin Clemage, number 4 in Navy. Possessing the ball, Sam Nasser, as we're seeing some new faces in there from Gene Bain toward the end. Chandler Jones is back in there. Derek Justice remains in the game, along with Haggerty. But the foul away from the basketball called against UMass Boston with 1:45 to go in the first.
Haggerty is such a big body. So hard to move. You know, he sits there and he plants, and it's hard to knock him off of that spot.
Well, you see sometimes at the D3 level, the bigs are out there just because they're big. Haggerty is not. Haggerty averaging just shy of 15 points per game, 7.7 rebounds. It's no coincidence that he's also a senior. So not only is he big, but he knows what to do with his size, which you see a lot of the freshmen when they're coming in and are just out there because they're the tallest players out on the floor. They haven't quite figured out just what to do with their size yet. He has.
He absolutely has. And you can tell when he goes to the post and just posts up, he's confident. He doesn't move off of his spot. He knows how to move without the ball. Good big man.
Not to mention a nice little touch from the free throw line as well. So he cashes in both, restores the three-point edge for the Judges. Joy matched up in the man-to-man with Austin Clamage, the grad student from Lake Forest, Illinois. Charles Mitchell with the basketball in his hands, goes behind the back, sends Dorquette through, hands off to Charlie. Charlie back to Joy. Gets in between a couple of defenders. Haggerty swats it away. 1-on-2. What a block up front. Staying vertical, Ikalua.
Great defense.
And they're going to call a blocking foul against the Judges. And we'll have free throws down the other end. 1-and-1 it should be for UMass Boston, I believe. That should be 7. It's definitely, maybe 6. Thought it was 7.
Oh, yeah, 6.
Beacons have 9. So next one will be double bonus. But it is side out of bounds for this one. With 70 seconds left in the opening 20. 25-22 Judges on top. We'll see if the Beacons can cut it to 1 or even draw level if they get the 3. A little bit too much fancy footwork there from Charles Mitchell, but loses it to Joy. Alua, after that beautiful play inside, goes on the pass. Joy. Shot from the top of the key. And Tommy Burris knew it was off right away. How about that threaded ball through?
That's a terrific pass. Terrific pass.
Picture perfect vision to thread it through two defenders in stride and finish beautifully by Terrell Brown.
You notice once Brandeis gets that turnover, their guys are running and they're out with their heads up.
Biggest lead of the game for the Judges at 5. Joy, short corner, Dorquette inside, can't finish. Lorquette, excuse me. Haggerty with the shot clock off, and Brandeis can make this a 7 or even an 8-point game from a downtown shot. Haggerty again gets the ball in the post, recycles it out top. 3 on the way, left well short. Haggerty tracks it down. One last look at it, and it rattles out.
Wow.
No bounce for the big man. And it's 27-22. Judges on top of your Beacons as we hit the halftime break. Well, it couldn't have been a more different game than we had in our first one, but just as competitive between UMass Boston and Brandeis. And gotta say, we are in for a very interesting second half. I can't imagine it's going to be this low scoring, but it might be. The way these two teams are playing, I still can't remember outside of that one beautiful pass at the end, any fast break points. It has been a half-court grudge match.
Yeah, it's been a knockdown, drag-out, grind-it-out kind of game, you know. See whose offense is going to whose offense is going to catch fire first.
It's going to be interesting. We hit the halftime break. I will talk to head coach Jason Harris in just a few minutes. We will also come back and we will talk to the athletic director here at UMass Boston. Lots to come in the halftime show. For now, though, Judges 27, Beacons 22.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that, and it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
And we welcome you back. Coach Harris had to head to the locker room. Hopefully we'll have a chance potentially to talk to him post-game. If not, plenty of opportunities to talk to Coach as the season rolls on. But we did have an opportunity to sit down with head coach Gene Bain of the Brandeis Judges leading into this fantastic event. Let's hear what he's done over the last couple of years to build this Brandeis program into what it is today.
My first reaction was it was a no-brainer. I've known Jay for a long time, and you know, obviously with everything that's gone on over the last couple of years with social justice and you know, athletics and just the world in general, I thought it'd be a great opportunity for us to be part of it. I mean, it's extremely important for a lot of different reasons. First off, it's a great way to kind of get together and shed light on these situations where you have, you know, 4 black coaches involved in terms of competing. I think it's a great way to show the younger coaches coming up that, you know, anything's possible as far as, you know, being a coach at this level, being a head coach at this level, getting an opportunity to show that you can coach at this level. So I think that's going to, you know, definitely show light on all those things. I think it's going to help the growth of, you know, younger coaches believing that they have a chance to be successful, believing they have a chance to get a shot to coach at the Division III level of being a head coach. I think it definitely sheds light on some of the things that's been going on as far as, you know, minority coaches getting opportunities to coach. It's going to be one night where you get the chance to see 4 coaches coming from 4 really good universities compete. You know, I've had a lot of different guys, but a lot of my role models were guys that I worked for. You know, Bill Herring at the University of New Hampshire, Jim Engels at Columbia University. But I've also had a lot of younger guys, assistant coaches in the business that were coming up that would help me. James Jones at Yale, Joe Jones at Boston University. You know, those guys have really given me a chance at certain times in terms of guiding me and kind of showing me the way. So, you know, that's the great part about this business. I think, you know, you make a lot of different connections with guys coming up in the business. You know, I've been doing this for a long time. So I've had a lot of different guys help me at different times in my career.
Wonderful to have Coach Bain talking with us as we take a look at some halftime stats from this one. It was a fairly evenly played first half. The stats support that as well. The field goal percentage is identical. 3-point shooting percentages, fairly close. Free throw shooting percentages, close. Rebounds, close. Assists, close. Turnovers, identical. Love it when everything on the stat sheet kind of supports a fairly close basketball game.
Yeah, the stats show kind of what this game has been about. It hasn't been pretty. But you see turnovers are low for both teams, 6, both have 6. I mean, it's going to come down to one of these teams has to start making shots.
It's going to be fascinating to see which team that is. Brandeis started to come alive a little bit at the end. You get the feeling if they had another 3-4 minutes of gameplay, they could have really extended this lead, but instead they get cut off by the halftime buzzer, and they will have to reset things, and we'll see if the Beacons can turn things around as they led for the majority of that first half, but fall behind by 5 heading into the halftime break. We take a look at the team leaders from that first half. Tommy Eastman, only double-digit scorer with 10 for the Judges. Charles Mitchell, the leading scorer for UMass Boston. No surprises there. He leads with 7. DiGregorio has 6. Haggerty has 5, second for Brandeis. You look at the rebounding numbers, Malik Lorquette, no surprises there, leading with 5 for your Beacons, whereas Brandeis had 5 apiece from Eastman and Jones. Chandler Jones contributing on the assist category as well as the block category. The steals fairly even as well. Malik Lorquette, 3 sendaways in that first half as he came on strong as well. But it's going to be so critical for UMass Boston to get some shots to fall, get a little bit more for Charles Mitchell, but certainly spread the wealth offensively and see if they can get potentially a little bit more from Malik Larquette inside as well, as Tommy Eastman has carried the load for Brandeis, but you know that they can spread the wealth offensively as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a very interesting second half. Something's got to give.
It certainly does. As we take a look at some highlights from that first half, it was a lot of defensive highlights, but at the end of the day, that's perfectly fine if UMass Boston can turn things around in that second half. But it's going to be very fascinating to see what comes in that second half. We're also going to have a conversation with Jacqueline Schumann, the athletic director, or officially the athletics director of athletics and recreation. As you take a look at some first half highlights, a nice drive inside there, and the finish through traffic by Terrell Brown, who had a couple of nice plays. That last one, probably the nicest play in the first half, that threaded pass through to find Terrell Brown for the layup. That was that crazy scrum, which you thankfully were able to talk through as we went through how important this one was. But what a crazy sequence that was. Charles Mitchell, beautiful shot. There's Larquette getting inside for the nice reverse, but need a little bit more on the offensive end and a little bit more, or if you can even ask more, defensively as well.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of these highlights, they're coming off of half-court offense. So there's not many opportunities for either team to get out and run.
There certainly hasn't been. There's a nice putback. There's been some nice plays from Terrell Brown. He has gotten into the post and has able to make some nifty finishes inside. But as the teams make their way back out onto the court and get ready for the second half, we will take a 30-second break, come back on the other side, and I will have a conversation with Jacqueline Schumann about how important this event is. So don't go anywhere. Second half upcoming, but we will talk with Jacqueline Schumann after this 30-second break.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
I gotta really get my eyes done from now on, like, because it's all anybody's ever seeing.
And I'm joined by Director of Athletics and Recreation, Jacqueline Schumann. Jackie, UMass Boston has one of the most diverse student populations of any university, not just here in the state of Massachusetts, but anywhere. How important is it to have an event like this on your campus?
It's extremely important to be able to have an event like this on our campus. Our students in our community are living in a really diverse society in our country and across the globe. You know, we're experiencing diversity in culture, in race, in ethnicity, and so we want to prepare our student athletes in our community to be able to really engage in the richness of the diversity that exists in society. And at the same time, in sport, we've had a lot of challenges in being able to showcase that diversity. And in sport, we often have diverse teams, and we lack representation in our leadership, in our head coaches. And so it's really important as well for our students to be able to see leaders and people in the sports community to be able to see diverse representation in our head coaches and our leaders. And so this event really showcases that diversity and the importance of, you know, allowing young people to be able to see that representation so they can strive for those roles themselves.
And speaking of those leaders, Coach Harris, he's heading up the Student Athlete Equity Coalition. How important is it to have him leading that body, and how important is it to have a body like that on UMass Boston's campus?
Yeah, it's really important. So one, obviously as a leader within our community and of our young people and within our athletics and recreation department, to have someone like him and him leading that alongside one of our other coaches, Janessa Edens, it's really, really important because it shows that it matters to them and that it matters to our department and it matters to our community. It's also really important for student athletes who, we really saw, with all that was showcased and
You can finish what you're saying. No, you can go on.
Sorry. All that was showcased and became really evident through the COVID pandemic. Student athletes really started to use their voices and really start to step out and use the platform that they have in sports, because sports really is something that everyone's looking at, and people are always looking at coaches and student athletes as role models. And so there's a uniqueness in that platform that student athletes get to use when they get engaged in issues of equity, and we should always be working to attain equity. It's really important. It helps us create the absolute best student athlete experience and best environment in our department. And so at the end of the day, our student athletes being involved in a student athlete equity coalition helps us advance these issues, and because of the platform that we have through sport, it can help them advance them in a way that can influence others in society in understanding the importance of how we can get better.
Couldn't have said it better myself. DiGregorio heads out. Looks like he has a little bit of blood. We will talk to you again tomorrow. Codfish Bowl championship game for women's hockey. That's always exciting as well. But this event's so important. It's been great to have you.
It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The teams head to break. Looks like a timeout needed to be called as a result of that injury to DiGregorio. But we thank Athletic Director Schumann for her time. And again, we will talk to her tomorrow as women's hockey will take on Bowdoin College in the championship game of the Codfish Bowl, looking for their first Codfish Bowl championship since the year 2014. Teams retreat to their benches. No scoring to this point in the second half of action. UMass Boston trailing 27-22 to the Brandeis Judges. But wonderful to have the person in charge of it all, Jackie Schumann, talking to us in that break. But with Jackie taking her leave, Odera Jones will rejoin me here in the booth, or I should say above the banister, to be much more exact, as we get ready to resume play. A little bit of a brief stop and start to the action as DiGregorio had to exit. He's still being attended to by the training staff, but nothing really occurring in the opening 22 seconds of the second half. But Odera, things need to change on the offensive end for UMass Boston. The defense has been up to the task. The offense, however, needs to pick things up.
Yeah, they have Brandeis in a good position right now, but they need to score, and they need to score with moving the ball.
Inside, Charles Mitchell lays it in over the top of a bigger defender, and now quickly gets back up and is back defending Terrell Brown. Starting lineups back in for either squad outside of Joy, who had to come in quickly for Stephen DiGregorio. 27-24, Judges on top. Second game of two here in the Black Coaches Classic. That one still can't get the roll. Nolan Haggerty nearly rattled in a buzzer beater at the end of the first half and doesn't get the bounce on his hook shot here to start the second. Minute gone, second half action. Beacons can close back within one. As that one, nice quick hands. Not sure who it was, whether it was Eastman or Haggerty. Eastman came away with it. Off the dribble. Nice step inside. Terrell Brown again finishes strong inside off glass.
It's a great take. He took it strong to the basket with confidence and finished.
Saw some very aggressive takes from McCrary in the first game for Leslie. Seeing something very similar here from Terrell Brown. When he gets a step on the defender, he just blows past you, and he is not looking necessarily just to go up and get fouled. No, he wants to finish inside like a big, strong man he is.
It's interesting to see that the Brandeis has started turning it up a little bit. Once those shots are missed, they have those three guys running the lane. They're trying to fill those spots and get quick shots.
Referee sorting things out. Baseline out of bounds for the Judges. 23 seconds on the shot clock. 18-18 on the game clock. Nice inlet pass. Lorquette, though, says, get away from here. And now in transition, it is Lorquette. and he gets fouled. I will say, I really love what I've seen from the bigs. They have been involved on every single play defensively, but they're usually the first ones down the court at the other end.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's Lorquette or Eastman, Haggerty, these bigs can run the floor.
Yeah, it's great to see. These bigs are getting to the rim, going to the free throw line. You want to, especially Lorquette with a nice block on the other end. You want to reward the big man.
Oh. We are not going to revisit that free throw.
Nope.
This is a Beacons team. Free throw shooting has been a problem. Oddly, it's been a problem both for and against the Beacons, because the Beacons coming into this game, 54.9% free throw shooting. Against them, 48.8%. Now, there's obviously nothing that the Beacons are necessarily doing to trigger the opposition being 48% from the line, but it is odd that free throw shooting in Beacon basketball games through the first 4 of the season has been abysmal.
Wow. Yeah, that's those numbers are not impressive.
How about Lorquette misses the 2 free throws, but then makes a very athletic follow-up play. Charles Mitchell missed the layup inside. It was a difficult one as he tried to go wrong-footed, and Lorquette gets himself 2 points after missing the 2 free throws, makes a much more difficult shot to get to. Haggerty inside, spins on Lorquette, goes the other way. And he just can't get a roll right now. Gets it right back and finishes inside. How about that from Haggerty?
He's a big man that knows how to move around the rim.
7-point lead for the Judges. It's a big couple of minutes here. Neither team is led by double digits in this one. No surprise, as low scoring as it has been. But that just means that a double-digit lead for Brandeis could just be very difficult to come back from. How about Lorquette?
Great.
Beautiful footwork.
Great move. And it seems like there's that UMass they're trying to hang around, you know? You hang around long enough for a team of this caliber, get to those last 5 or 6 minutes, you see what happens.
We head to timeout. It's not the media. That'll come at the under 16. But we will take a 30-second break as you see all the different social media handles that you can reach us, including that very nice retro Instagram logo at UMass Beacons on all the different social channels. Be sure to tune in as well to beaconsathletics.com. That's where you can get connected with all your Beacons athletic programs, where you can find the links to the Little East Conference Network and the Beacon Broadcasting Network co-streamed for all your Beacon broadcasts all season long. It's a pleasure to have you on this Saturday night as we wrap things up from the Black Coaches Classic. Teams will head back out on the floor. The number 25 team in the D3 Hoops preseason poll. They have not released their second poll. They do that after the holidays. So we saw the number 11 team in the country, Tufts, in our opener, though after they lost Luke Rogers in their season opener, they have not played like the number 11 team in the country, as they are now 1-4 after their victory over Leslie in our opener. But the Brandeis Judges, number 25 in the preseason poll, they are looking, at least on the defensive end anyway, Odera, every bit like a top 25 team.
Yeah, this is my first opportunity seeing them, and they're impressive. They're very impressive.
Although they would certainly like their offense to pick it up a little bit more as well. Pollsters certainly love defensive games, but there's something that jumps out from those offensive ones. As there's a nice triple drilled from the left side, beautifully done, in rhythm shot, and Colin Sawyer, one of the 2 co-captains on this team, knocks it down. Joy into the corner. Charles Mitchell. Charles, lots of crossovers. Defenders not biting. Lorquette back to Charles. Charles inside, dishes off. Not sure if the post player was ready for it. It was a nice dish there to Simon Perreault, but couldn't finish.
Yeah, you just hope he doesn't make that one dribble. He's already at the rim. You don't need a dribble.
What do they say? If you're a big man in the post, don't put it on the floor.
Don't put it on the floor.
Don't put it on the floor.
That's where the little guys get it.
I think there's a reason I'm not playing anymore. It's probably because I did that far too many times.
Hey, you can't do that, man, you know? You get the Mitchell twins in there stealing the ball from you when you do that.
Foul whistled against UMass Boston. Perreault heads to the bench. And we will do the same. Media timeout under 16. We had an opportunity in that first half to hear from Tommy Amaker head coach of the Harvard Crimson. And now we have an opportunity to hear from the former head coach of the St. John's Red Storm, Mike Jarvis.
Hi, everybody. This is Coach Mike Jarvis. Many of you may remember me from my days at Cambridge Rindge and Latin, or maybe one of my college stops. But either way, this isn't about me. This is about you and what the black coaches have accomplished and continue to accomplish. I can remember back when I was coaching at Northeastern, one of the few black players that I ever saw on the opposing sideline was Charlie Titus. But I thank Charlie for being a good friend and a very positive influence in my life. When I was coaching at Northeastern, one of the first players I recruited was Keith Motley, who became the chancellor at UMass Boston. And so I've been really blessed, and I hope that you guys someday will be able to say the same as me, that how blessed you've been by being in this game and being around such great coaches as that you have. So.
Back underway on the other side of the under-16. Again, thanks to Coach Jarvis. Most recently at the Owls of Florida Atlantic. Not too friendly with your former University, Florida International, are they, Florida Atlantic?
It's funny, Coach Jarvis was there right when I was heading out of my last year at FIU. And he was a great guy. He was a great guy. You think someone that gets to a certain level is not going to be as humble and willing to talk to a young assistant. I was young at the time, 25, 24 years old. And he came up, talked to me, and we had a great conversation. I'll never forget it.
Eastman misses inside, gets a third and even fourth look at it, as you can still see exasperated Terrell Brown saying, "How was I not fouled?" as he went careening to the floor. 2 free throws, but sometimes you get a little bit selfish. You're like, I want to be the one at the free throw line.
Give me a shot. You know, I worked hard for it too.
Boy, has he worked hard. Terrell Brown, I don't know if I've seen him shoot a jumper today, but on the dribble drive, he has been electrifying.
He is a tough matchup for any guard we have out at UMass Boston.
The junior from Lowell, averaging 7 points per game, but he has been up there today, and every single time he's taken the ball to the rack, he has made something happen. And even though he didn't get the points here, he gave Eastman the opportunity to do so. We have our first double-digit lead of the game. It's now an 11-point lead for the Judges. And earlier in our first game, an 11-point lead would have been absolutely nothing with the way those two teams were putting up points. In this one, it feels like an 11-point lead is a fairly substantial advantage.
Yeah, it's the way points have been getting scored in this game, as you alluded to. It's gonna be tough for a lead like this. Not insurmountable, but it's gonna be. The Beacons are making it a little tougher on themselves.
Joy on the handoff. Charles Mitchell rises, can't finish, and going down very hard was Lorquette. Gets back into the play, no call. They really have let him play for large portions of this game. Inlet pass. Haggerty waits. Lets the defense make its move. Somehow doesn't get the roll. Second chance look for Brandeis. Short corner. Moved around. Long three. Just short, but it finds its way to the bottom of the net. Colin Sawyer. 42-28 Judges.
They just keep on moving that ball and getting the shots that they want.
DiGregorio is heading to the locker room. We saw him take a blow inside the opening 30 seconds of this second half, and he is now headed to the locker room. Definitely looked like he had a busted lip, but it might be a little bit more than that as they get him checked out. Lorquette will get 2 more free throws, but didn't really want to revisit the airball miss from the last trip, but you got the feeling for Brandeis, if Lorquette catches in there deep, he's got beautiful footwork, might as well send him to the line and make him earn it from there rather than getting posted up inside.
Yeah, that's for the Judges. Him missing that, it already paid off.
Yep. On the season, Lorquette just a 40% free throw shooter. Again, we're only 4 games in. This is the 5th, but Lorquette is not cashing in on those freebies from the line. It's astounding just how you're wide open. You're just a dozen feet away from the hoop. No one's guarding you, and it's some people can knock him down. in rhythm. You mentioned one Steph Curry in that first half. Some players just can't.
Yeah, and it's, after a while, it starts to kind of pile up. And they're free points with the clock stopped. So you want to make sure you convert all those. And sometimes it's, for some players, it's easier said than done. You know, I don't know if you're young enough to remember, but Shaquille O'Neal was a very dominant player.
How dare you? How dare you say I'm too young to remember Shaquille O'Neal? Oh my goodness! I am. I appreciate that you think I'm that young. That makes me feel good. I'm sure if you make that comment to my mom, she'll love you. My goodness, you think she's that young? Oh my gosh.
I'm playing to the crowd, man. I'm playing to the crowd.
Do I remember Shaq? Who is this Shaquille O'Neal that you?
Explain him to me, please.
Oh my goodness. The opposite big goes to the free throw line. Oh boy, that's such a pretty stroke. It's Haggerty has a nice clean stroke. He's got the beautiful footwork inside. So does Lorquette, but one's knocking down the free throws. Yeah. One is not.
Yeah, it's just the points.
You
get in.
Pure.
That's why so many teams love to get to the bonus, because you get to the bonus, you're at the line taking shots. You know, if you have great free throw shooters, the bonus is your friend. If not, it's kind of an albatross.
It definitely is. I think as much as I'm still taking offense to your comment about my age as the two teams go at it, you hit it right on the head that at some point it's not about form. It's not about just the shot in general. It gets in your head.
Yeah.
And you see the air ball being the first one, everyone after that becomes just a little bit, the ball becomes heavier, the basket looks smaller. You got all the eyes on you. It does weigh in your head, and it becomes much more about the pressure that's on you as opposed to the actual mechanics of the free throw motion.
Oh, yeah, because, you know, when the free throw happens, everything else stops. So it's just you, the ball, and everyone staring at you shooting. You know, there's not movement on the court. There's no one running. You're just there.
Charles Mitchell was leaning into the player. Don't know how he didn't get called for a foul. He's only 5'10", so. And now look at this matchup inside. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Somehow getting away with it. The Beacons might come out with this basketball. They do. Oh, that's a missed possession by Brandeis. You had an opportunity to get in there. Chandler Jones is 6'5", going up against Charlie Mitchell at 5'10", and you don't come away with points.
Yeah. UMass Boston is very fortunate there with that. That when it went in, you and I both thought that's a score.
Should be automatic. DiGregorio's back in the game, so great to see him back in, number 4 in white. The true freshman from Marlboro had to head back to the locker room briefly, but he's back out there. So Charles Mitchell runs the point with Charlie on the bench, and this one somehow squeaks out of the hands of James Hughes. They've tried to go a little bit bigger with Hughes in there against Haggerty to try and control some things. But he turns the basketball over with 12:10 to play in regulation. The Beacons, who were up for the majority of the first half, are now down 13 here in the second. And it hasn't been necessarily a huge run. It really feels like it's been a kind of an extended run going back 10, 15 minutes almost for Brandeis, just slowly chipping further and further away.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They're just slowly getting momentum, not doing anything too crazy. They're not doing anything out of who they are. They're just slowly, methodically taking over the game.
Lorquette skying for that rebound. Derek Justice had the open look, but bricked the three. DiGregorio on the dribble, and one for Aikalua.
Great finish. UMass Boston needed something. That was a great finish. And I know if you're Coach Harris, the hope is that you get the free throw as well, cut it to a 10-point lead.
Immediate timeout with 11:26 to go in the second half. We'll take a 30-second break. It's the Judges with the lead, 44-33.
being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school, it's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
Under 12 timeout. Beacons have to get something going offensively. Maybe it comes from this three-point play opportunity from Ike Alua. But we were talking about it. In a game like this, you got to take your opportunities. You got to hit free throws.
You have to hit free throws. That's going to be, when we look back on this game, if it starts to become closer and UMass loses by a certain number of points, Coach Harris is going to look back at those free throws and say, wow, what did we leave on the board?
Alua will head to the free throw line. Not that he's been there a lot, but he is only a 42% shooter through 4 games. Again, we take these in very small sample sizes at this point in the season. But we'll see if he can cash in here. And he rolls it out. Michael Walsh has checked in for Coach Harris. Number 32 in white. He's matched up at the point guard spot with Sam Nasser. Eastman, Haggerty, moving it around the perimeter, collected by Dylan Lien. Post-entry pass. That's a nice finish over the top of both Walsh and Lorquette by Eastman.
Great move. Again, those bigs, they get down to the block and they just sit, and, you can't move them.
Trying to take it all the way through, but having difficulty doing so for the Beacons. It's DiGregorio. He's wearing number 21 now. He had the blood on his jersey, so that's why he had to run back to the locker room. Because with the busted lip, the blood got on the jersey, so now he has to go in, and he's wearing a little bit of an oversized number 21. But that is DiGregorio out there alongside Walsh, Lorquette, Charles Mitchell, and Ike Alua. That is the 6th team foul whistled against UMass Boston. So we still have more than half of the second half to go. But the next foul whistled against UMass Boston will send Brandeis to the line. And unlike the Beacons, they have, with slightly less opportunities at the free throw line, been knocking them down, particularly Haggerty.
Yeah, start to see them get into their motion. Haggerty's going to probably dive here.
Yep. And Eastman gets fouled.
Just those big bodies start to wear on you after a while.
Yeah, Haggerty and Eastman haven't done anything too complicated in this one, but their fundamentals are sound, their post moves are good, and they have the size and ability inside to make life very difficult for a slightly undersized Lorquette and Alua.
I agree. Totally agree.
Eastman very frustrated that he missed that free throw short. Maybe that is a way back in. If you can find the right guy to foul, maybe you can get your way back into this game by potentially getting some free throw misses, but that one is made by Eastman. Splits the pair, 47-22. Charlie Mitchell's back in. Hands off to Charles. Charles inside the runner. Too strong. Eastman triple teamed, and they're going to call a foul against the Beacons. And with 10:14 left, more free throws already for Brandeis. Eastman will head to the line for 1 and 1.
You're starting to see potentially a little frustration from the Beacons as they've gone now some good chunk of time without scoring.
Eastman with an opportunity. First side of the 1 and 1, by far the most important. Makes the first. Boy, the bigs do have a beautiful free throw shooting stroke as well. Talk about fundamentals, and that's really all free throw shooting is, along with dealing with that pressure. Gets them both. Big free throws.
Yep.
Haggerty checks out, replaced by the co-captain Chandler Jones. 10-10 to go Beacons down 16. They have been outscored by 11 in the second half. They were down 27-22 as there's going to be a reach-in foul. But 22-11. They've been doubled up in this second half. And again, it hasn't been one giant run that's come in quick succession. They've just been gradually chipping further and further away. Beacons are going to have to do something similar and start to reverse that the other direction. You'd hope by maybe the 5-minute mark or so that you could be within 6 or 8.
Yeah, that's all the Beacons need to do is to get back in this game. Like you said, it's just slowly chipping away at it, kind of like, as you alluded to, Brandeis did with getting this lead.
DiGregorio hits the mid-range jumper. The old cliche comes back, stop and a score.
Stop and a score.
You're not going to get it all back at once, but if you can get the defense back working, boy, Charles Mitchell somehow doesn't get called for a reach-in foul there. Ball hawking for sure. Charlie taking a little bit from his brother's pocket, doing something similar. 1 on the shot clock. This one's hoisted. Oh, and that's going to be a foul the other direction. Trying to get up and slam it was Colin Sawyer, and he's going to get called for it. That's the 6th team foul on Brandeis. So 1 more, and UMass Boston will shoot free throws. And that's perfectly fine, you'd feel, depending on who gets fouled.
Yep.
So you can work your way back into this game at the free throw line if you can knock them down.
Yeah, there's still a lot of time. We're looking at 9-13. When you get that's a little tougher of a shot, you know.
And that's a foul on the other end. Well, how many times, and you were a coach, you think that's probably an ill-advised shot. It's not in the rhythm of the offense. And how many times does a poor shot at one direction lead to a breakaway opportunity at the other? Every time.
Every time. Every time. You know, and it's a 14-point game. I mean, you get a layup, it's a 12-point game. So you have to understand the scoring time. Scoring time is very important. The three-pointer, yes, would have helped, but you know what? Just getting a score on the board would have helped.
And it's just hard because talk about a 4-point swing. You miss that three, of course. If you hit it, fantastic. But because you missed it well short, it leads to a foul and 2 points from the free throw line at the other end. And credit to Brandeis. They are making their freebies.
Yep.
Lorquette, I wouldn't mind fouling him. Gets inside, takes it strong, slams the floor. But these are the ones he's got to make some free throws because he has been the one player that's been able to get to the hole and make plays.
Getting to the line consistently.
But Brandeis, they could probably just make a couple of subs in there, say if Lorquette goes at you, hit him, play the old hack-a-shack, and make him earn it.
Yep.
Ugh. He just can't get a roll now.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be home court advantage. Supposed to get the bounces on these rims.
Yeah, and you hope that he can get one of these.
And 0 for 6 in this second half.
Wow.
That's a 51-41 ball game.
Yeah, with 8 minutes, 8:45 to go. You know, that's why free throws are so important.
A legal screen was whistled that time against Brandeis' number 21, Tommy Eastman. Offensive foul, so no free throws. But 17 combined fouls between the two teams. We've only played 11 and a half minutes in this second half. Lorquette has to stay out there. That's the hard part. They really don't have anyone who can replace him. What a play. Charlie Mitchell. He's not the scorer, but boy, you could have fooled me.
But you see it, they get a score and the clock stops again. So you know it's about, like you said, score and get a stop. Score and get a stop.
And don't foul.
Don't foul.
Next one against the Beacons will put Brandeis into the double bonus. Same thing the other direction. Charlie Mitchell to complete the three-point play. Got it. 13-point game. Not insurmountable. Certainly not with this much time on the clock. They apply a little bit of full court pressure. Alua's got to be careful. He was riding him a little bit. Got to stay in front. Chandler Jones to the hole. No call.
Wow.
Haggerty.
Great effort by Haggerty.
Haggerty came away with it, and they're going to whistle him for the foul. Charlie Mitchell threw a little bit of theatrics in there potentially. A very frustrated Gene Bain for the amount that they've called in this second half. 18, now 19 combined fouls. Somehow the Beacons didn't get called for one of that entire possession.
Yeah, I was shocked. I definitely thought it was going to go the other way. Good job by Charlie to sell that one.
Yep. Charlie Mitchell heads to the free throw line. He finished the and one. Coming into this game though, 28%. Not gonna focus on that. Let's put this in, Charlie. Should we? Please. Yes. There it is. That's not the stroke of someone shooting 28%. No way.
It looked like it was good when it came out of his hands.
Yes, it did. Can cut this lead to 11 right here. Winning. Getting points with the clock. Stop. That's going to be a violation. Rattled it home, but doesn't count. I don't know if it was Lorquette or DiGregorio who stepped in early. But that's a point wiped off the board for the Beacons, and that hurts. That's an unforced error.
You hate to see that. Instead of a 39-51 game, you got a 40-51 game, you have a 39-51 game.
Jones met by Alua. Here comes the double team from DiGregorio. Nice swing pass into the corner. Lien fakes the three. Nasser, the senior. Got a very veteran team in there right now for Brandeis. They are going with their big boys inside with Haggerty, but they are going with their experienced bodies as well. With a large group of seniors, juniors as well, out on the floor, but they can't cash in this possession. Beacons get the stop. Can they get the score? Alua off the dribble, finds DiGregorio, gets inside and finishes with the body contact, but focused on making the shot.
Good tough finish. Going at Haggerty, I know it's not that's not an easy task.
A couple of push-offs there from Dylan Lien on Charles Mitchell. But we play on. The refs continuing to let him play over the last couple of minutes. Into traffic. Beautiful block. Lorquette. Alua in transition. Gets it poked from behind, but it'll stay with the Beacons.
Probably want Alua to get that to up to one of the point guards there.
Would have liked to, but they will maintain possession of the basketball on the other side of the media timeout. We'll take a 30-second break. Come back on the other side. We will take you around Beaconville as we got a lot going on. It's wintertime. It's holiday time here at UMass Boston.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
And we welcome you back. Other side of the under 8 media timeout, we take a look around Beaconville. It's wintertime, so there's only a couple sports going around, but it is a big day. It is a big weekend because it is Codfish Bowl weekend. Women's hockey in the semifinals of the Codfish Bowl, taking on the Trine University Thunder and winning 3-0 earlier today. Bowdoin had no problems in their semifinals, so those two teams will meet tomorrow. Men's hockey taking down the Mammoths of Amherst College 4-1. That was the first game in our opener earlier, Tufts over Leslie. It was a good one. Very different in terms of style and tempo, very high scoring. This game has yet to reach 100 combined points. We had 99 in the first half alone between the two teams. We're at 91 or 92 with only 6:52 left in regulation in this second game. More free throws though. Boy, you can't say they haven't had looks at the free throw line.
They've definitely had their opportunities.
They can cut this inside 10 points for the first time since early in this second half. They started the second half down 5, 27-22, but that quickly got extended to double digits in the early minutes of this second half. Got extended out. Better 14 points, I believe, was the maximum lead.
Yeah.
Cashed in both. Charlie Mitchell, big shots.
And again, it's about chipping away with that clock stop.
I cannot remember the last time UMass Boston scored a point that wasn't made from the free throw line, and that's perfectly fine by them. Chandler Jones matched up with Alua. Swung it around. Eastman back up top. Brown's back in the game. We'll see if they can get him back in the dribble drive. Inlet pass. Eastman on the short corner. Foul whistled against Lorquette. 2 free throws upcoming for Eastman.
Wow, that one shocks me a little bit.
I'm with you. I am with you.
For as much as they've been playing this game and the rest have been letting them play, that one shocks me.
Joy will come back in at the next whistle for head coach Jason Harris, who hopefully we'll talk to after this game. Hopefully we're talking to a very happy Jason Harris as his team is right there. They've started to get the free throws going. Charlie Mitchell has been knocking them down from the charity stripe. Eastman trying to do the same on this possession and restore the double-digit lead, and he misses it. Pressure beginning to mount on a ranked Brandeis team. They have a very interesting schedule, Brandeis. After this game, which is their second road game of the year, they will play the next 10 games in friendly confines out in Waltham. They will not go on the road again until January the 21st, when they take that long road trip that you have in the UAA out to Chicago and Washington University of St. Louis. They will play the next 10 games at home.
Wow, how would you like to be a coach and hear that schedule, huh?
Well, you'd love to hear that schedule, as what a nice finish on a little fall away from Alua, until you go through what happens after the 10-game homestand, as then you then play 7 of your remaining 11 games on the road.
Wow.
So take advantage of the home games while you got them.
Got to win the home games.
They will play WPI, then Babson, and then that's part of a tournament that they're hosting. Babson, Salem State, Tufts, and Brandeis is a 4-team tournament. So they will face either the Vikings or the Jumbos in that second game. Then LaSalle, Colby, Union, Bates before they finally get into conference play against NYU on January the 8th. So plenty of opportunities to rack up the home wins, but conference play will be a gauntlet in the UAA.
Definitely won't be easy.
Certainly one of the more interesting in terms of travel costs, the UAA, because you got not a lot of teams here in the Northeast. Carnegie Mellon's not too close. Chicago certainly not close. Rochester, New York is no short trip, and certainly Washington University of St. Louis out in the Midwest. So UAA, that's a D1 level schedule that you're playing in terms of travel, as the Beacons are right back in it, 53-47.
Right where you wanted to be with 5 minutes left.
Absolutely. I was saying somewhere around 8 to 10 with 5 minutes left. They're doing 2 better right now. The defensive intensity has returned for UMass Boston. They've started to knock down the free throws, and now the shots are starting to fall as well. And it hasn't been necessarily one giant run, but they've just chipped away slowly but surely, and you got to feel like they have all the momentum right now.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting finish with this. As we start to see both teams are you get tight once that game starts getting close to the end, and especially for a team like Brandeis, who probably came in and thought it would be a little tough, but now it's starting to turn a little bit. So we'll see how they handle it.
See if Brandeis, this is a big possession for them. You call the timeout. You want to execute out of your coach's timeout. Turnovers out of timeouts are the cardinal sin that you can't have if you're Brandeis right now. See if they can execute their half-court offense. Jones nearly had his pocket picked by DiGregorio. Moved it to the right. Eastman off the dribble inside. That's nice, quick hands. There is the turnover. Charles Mitchell comes up with it, finds his brother. Wow. Charlie on the cross, trying to get the screen from Alua. How about the minutes played by Ike Alua in this one? Just averaging 8 minutes per game through 4. And it's turned over by Charlie Mitchell. Tried to commit the foul, and there's Joy getting back in transition to make the pick.
Oh, what a game. What a game.
Charles Mitchell directing the offense. Moves DiGregorio out for the ISO. Up against Eastman. Eastman does well. Halfway through the shot clock. Charlie Mitchell with it now. Charlie goes through his legs, matched up in a much more favorable matchup for the defender. Brown. Charles has to hoist with three. Through traffic, off the back rim, and a strong rebound by Colin Sawyer. You wouldn't know if there was 4 minutes or 1 in this game. The intensity has ramped up significantly. That's going to be a foul on Alua. Yep.
Yep. He got a little bit over anxious there, going for the steal. And
the Beacons have been very aggressive, going for the steal. They've gambled a little bit, and for the most part, it's been kind of odd, the calls that have been made versus the ones that haven't. We've seen some touch fouls called and some absolute hacks. Charlie Mitchell and Charles Mitchell, I'm looking at you. That have not been called, which has certainly played to the Beacons' favor when your two quick guards have been allowed to kind of get their hands in there a little bit.
Wreak havoc.
Yep. When that's been allowed to happen, the Beacons have been able to crawl right back into this game. Eastman heads to the bench. I cannot imagine it will be for long. Charlie Mitchell lets it roll for a moment as we tick inside 4 minutes to go. DiGregorio left his feet, finds Charlie. Charlie looked to send DiGregorio through, gets the screen from Alua. Charlie pulls, well off, goes for the rebound, but it bounced on the end line first. And we will have the under 4 timeout. It's an 8-point ball game, Brandeis on top, but not safe yet. We will take a 30-second break. It's a tight one on this nightcap of the Black Coaches Classic. Brandeis 55, UMass Boston 47.
Cheer for the stumbles. The he shoulda had that's. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
One more immediate timeout. Let's see if the Beacons, they got it to as low as 6. It's currently 8 at 55-47. Don't forget that we will have the championship game of the Codfish Bowl tomorrow for your women's hockey team. They will take on Bowdoin. 4 o'clock is the puck drop of that one, as Stevenson and Trine will play in the consolation game earlier in the afternoon. But your Beacon women trying to go for their first Codfish Bowl title since 2014. Bowdoin will have a lot to say about that. They played fantastic earlier today. In fact, both teams did. Beacon's throwing the shutout. Bowdoin was dominant in their win over Stevenson as well. So should be a fantastic Codfish Bowl championship game tomorrow, but we still have 3:34 of regulation here in this game, as a foul is going to be whistled against the Beacons, and heading to the line and having an opportunity to extend this to double digits is going to be Colin Sawyer, the co-captain out of New London, averaging 15 points per game. We haven't necessarily said his name too much. They've fed Eastman a lot. Haggerty's been involved. Not too much from Sawyer, but he does get that one to roll in. And with 3:24 left, you start to count possessions a little bit and start to think, all right, got to start to make all these offensive possessions count, particularly if this one gets extended to 4 possessions.
Yep, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see what UMass can come down and, 10 minutes, you got 3:23 roughly. Every possession is going to you got to make it count.
Yep, no doubt about that. Plenty of time, but you can't have any more empty possessions, you feel like. Charlie Mitchell goes behind his back. Charles tried to go backdoor. Charlie did not think that was the plan. And an unforced turnover against the Beacons. 3:08 to go, still time. but got to get a stop right here.
Absolutely need to stop.
Mason Stalfo, Dara Jones on the call. Thank you so much for joining us and taking the time out of your Saturday night and probably, hopefully, the end of your Thanksgiving leftovers, although I know that there are going to be people making turkey sandwiches for the next week. I know my family will be in that boat.
Yes, turkey sandwiches.
I think I escaped my family without taking any turkey leftovers. I think I might have escaped.
That is called a miracle. There's going to be a lot of kids going to school on Monday morning with turkey in their lunch boxes.
Yep, and Tuesday.
And Tuesday. And unfortunately for some, Wednesday.
Unless you really love turkey.
Yeah.
Like, unless you really love turkey. But by that time, that's week-old turkey. You're just like, all right, let's. I think we've gotten the full use out of the turkey by now.
Yeah, have you? That's my question. Have you ran into anyone who really loves turkey?
No, certainly not, and certainly not like the really healthy part of the turkey, which is the light meat, which is the one you're supposed to eat. But I'm just smother the dark meat and gravy and definitely lose any health benefits whatsoever from it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I haven't run into anyone that's like a super turkey fan, you know?
Unless you wrap the whole turkey in bacon, which I've seen like pictures on Facebook, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's the way to go about it. Definitely, if there was ever any health benefits, you'll wrap the whole thing in bacon and deep fry it. No way. But it looked fantastic. I will say that.
Hey, sometimes I'm sure by Wednesday there's going to be some people getting pretty creative with the turkey.
Certainly. 59-47, Brandeis, you get the opportunity to potentially ice this one right here. You get the feeling 14-point game if you knock down these free throws. That's going to be a tough task for UMass Boston to come back from as DiGregorio has to exit the game. And Chandler Jones misses. This is still a 4-possession game, but they would all have to be threes. You get the feeling you got to go fast. I would say attack the basket and see if you can get something, maybe an and one opportunity.
Yeah, you go to the basket, try and see if you can kind of stuck in that Brandeis defense and see if you can get a quick kick out.
That's perfectly fine. Yep. They're going to call that on the floor. It doesn't matter. Everything's a 2-shot foul now. So that's a 3-4 second possession. You can get 2 points out of it. That's a good start.
Yep.
Charles Mitchell will head to the line. On the season, Charles was shooting 70% coming in. It's been Charlie, his twin brother, who's done the majority of the free throw making in this second half. See if Charles can do the same. First one up and short. This game definitely, if this is the end result and Brandeis comes out with a victory, it's not that UMass Boston lost it from the free throw line, but they didn't help their case.
Yes, absolutely. It's gonna be one of those nights when the coaches get together after the game and they just look at so many missed opportunities. And free throws is going to be the one that stands out the most.
Nearly an incredible play by Joy. Tried to save it behind his back. This is a Brandeis team who averages 81 points per game coming into this one. You held them 20 points below their season average. And right now you're staring down the barrel of a double-digit loss. So unfortunately, while your defense stepped up in a big way against a ranked opponent, your offense had some troubles as that one is cashed. It's a 2-point basket. Foot was on the line from Charles Mitchell. And quickly, head coach Jason Harris calls a timeout to try and set up the defense and apply some pressure. But I would say, even if this one doesn't go the Beacons' way by the end of it, it's been quite an enjoyable night of basketball, and certainly the basketball plays second fiddle to the importance of this evening as a whole, but you can't fault the basketball that we've seen tonight.
No, we've got a chance to see some great basketball being played. 4 good teams. I mean, the way Leslie played in that first game was great to see. You know, we talked about some of the struggles they had. Their coach had with inheriting the program. They came out and had a great showing.
Yeah, I would say that unfortunately the best pure half of basketball was probably the first one we saw. 99 combined points. We had threes, we had drives to the hole, really not a lot of fouls. The first half blazed by It's been certainly a different game here in this second one, but that first half that we saw was rip-roaring basketball at its best.
Yes.
And then Tufts had a much better second half, outscoring Leslie by 25, really imposing their will in the second half of that basketball game. In this one, it's been a little bit of stop and go because of all the whistles. It's certainly been a much more better defensive game, and I'll be the first. I'll be as old school as old school. I love defensive basketball. It's been fun to watch. I would like a little bit less on the fouling. There's been a lot of free throws in this second half as Eastman leaves that one short. But it's been certainly an enjoyable evening, and I think it's a start in terms of what the overall intent of this night is for. Brings awareness, and certainly I can't imagine that this will be the last of the Black Coaches Classics, but the ultimate goal is to not need them at all.
Yeah, and I'm really, it's an understatement, but I'm really excited about the turnout we had tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic crowd.
I mean, you have teams from, and I'm pretty sure that all of these, all of the fans' children aren't playing the game right now, so there's some fans here.
Right.
You know, so it's good for this to be what it looks like for the first iteration of this.
Absolutely. And in this city now,
yes.
Luckily, we never went into the kind of the preconceptions or the stereotypes about the great city of Boston, but this is a city that needs something like this.
Yes.
Because love it or hate it, whether you watch news about the Celtics and their players drawing attention to it, and certainly the NBA as a whole, but the city of Boston has certainly over the last couple of years taken a little bit of a bad rap for as diverse as it is for some of the things that have happened in this city. So important that you have opportunities like this to draw attention to it, but to bring the community together.
Yeah, and also to put things in a more positive light. Right? I mean, you turn on the news now, you see things, and everything's so negative, you know. So to have an event like this and have it be a success in its first time happening is great to see. It's just great.
That one rattled out. Shot clock is off. The Beacons are going to fall. We'll see if they can get one last look at the basket. Faking the shot was Malik Brooms. Hands off Charlie Mitchell inside, hangs in the air and finishes. Nifty finish for two. Beacons fighting to the end, but they're going to come out 9 points short as Brandeis dribbles it out, and that'll do it. 63-54 the final. The Beacons fall to 3-2 on the season. Brandeis improves to 3-1. An outstanding night of basketball. Ends on a bit of a bittersweet note for the Beacons, but it's early. It's non-conference play, and you can only get better going up against a top 25 team, win or lose.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a team like this at home. You cut the lead to within 6, and they still had a chance to win this game. So kudos to the Beacons for hanging with this team. It's a great team.
It's going to be very interesting. Beacons' next team up will take on Eastern Connecticut. It'll be their conference opener next weekend on the road down at Eastern Connecticut. Brandeis returns home for the first of 10 consecutive home games. They will have WPI first up on November the 30th at 7 p.m. We may have a conversation with Coach Jason Harris. Not quite sure. If we do, we'll be back on the other side of this break with that. If not, we'll come back with some highlights, some stats, and some recaps as we get you ready for the rest of your fantastic weekend. Codfish Bowl tomorrow, still lots of UMass Boston athletics on the way. So we still have a postgame ahead. Don't go anywhere. But for now, Beacons fall in this one, 63-54.
The University of Massachusetts Boston, with its scenic oceanfront campus, easily accessible to downtown Boston, is recognized as a model of excellence for urban public universities. 16 NCAA Division III sports are part of the more than 100 student organizations that create an engaging campus life in America's biggest and best college town. UMass Boston, Boston's urban public research university for the 21st century.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Cheer for the stumbles.
Extremely well. What were your thoughts about that one, at least in the immediate aftermath?
It's hard to play defense from 1.5 foot out, and when they crush you on the glass like that, it's hard to guard that. So, I mean, rebounding really hurt us, and then conversion, it's hard to stop them when they're running 3-on-2 on you. A couple bad shots got them going downhill. A couple stops we had, we just didn't secure the 50-50.
Win or lose, you're going to take a lot away from when you play a top team like this. What are the things that you want to work on over the next week in practice, but also during this holiday period where you don't necessarily have a ton of games, but you have a conference game coming up in a week? What do you want to work on over the next couple of days?
Execution and free throws. I mean, we went 9-20 at the line. And execution, and some of that is some guys being in spots that they haven't played in. We played lineups for the first time all year this year. So just, again, plugging guys in different spots and having them, play different roles. And we'll figure it out. It's a long year. We got young guys. The guys hung in there. They played hard. It was a great night, great event. It was 2 really good games, 2 competitive games, 3 really good coaches. So we're just going to work on getting ourselves a little tighter, our execution a little tighter, a little crisper. We got a lot of work to do still.
And I know you kind of mentioned it briefly, and we heard you many times over the course of the broadcast on what this event meant to you. But now that it's in the books and you've had the opportunity to catch up with your fellow coaches and talk to your players about this, what do you want what do you want the next step to be from here, from an event like this?
Just to expand. I mean, a lot of people did a lot of hard work behind the scenes to help us pull this off. So I appreciate them. All 4 coaches, nobody was happy with their matchup tonight. So I guess that's a good negotiation when everybody's mad. What I'd hope to see is that there's more teams. We have 100% participation in state and then in New England, and, we could really expand. And I don't know how big it can get just because of logistics, but, I mean, we should be able to have, 16 teams in here and 8 games over 2 days. I would just love to see it grow like that. So we'll see, man. Year 1 brand, year 2 expands.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Coach, thank you. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, too.
We'll head back up on the other side of this break. We'll break things down, some final stats and analysis, get you on your way on this Saturday night.
That he should have had that. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
Moving from Turkey, it was a rough journey for me because when you don't really speak the language that well and when you don't really fit in the crowd, it's very easy to disappear. But I decided not to give up, and UMass helped me.
The University of Massachusetts Boston, with its scenic oceanfront campus, easily accessible to downtown Boston, is recognized as a model of excellence for urban public universities. 16
And we welcome you back one last time as the Beacons fall 63-54 to the 25th ranked Brandeis Judges. We take a look at these stats. The Beacons actually outshooting Brandeis 40% to 30%, but the difference was at the free throw line. 45%. You heard Coach talk about it, just 9 of 20 from the line for UMass Boston. Brandeis, 75%. That was the difference in this ball game. 63-54 the final. But you look at those stats, the free throw numbers have to improve for Coach Harris's team. That is the difference in this ball game. Is they did shoot slightly less in terms of a percentage-wise for the three-point, but when you outshoot the other team by 10% from the field, but you lose by 11 or 9, I guess, there's only one place to track that down. That's at the free throw line. That's what has to change. Simple as that. But you look at those rebounding numbers as well. 47-27. Brandeis absolutely crushing it on the boards. 11-7 in terms of assists. The turnovers actually weren't the problem. Both teams take fairly good care of the basketball. But at the end of the day, free throws and rebounding wins basketball games time and time and time again. And that was the difference in this one as the Beacons fall by 9. We take a look at the team leaders as well. As always worth taking a look at this, Charles Mitchell, 17 points. His brother Charlie with 12. Tommy Eastman had 21 to lead the way. Colin Sawyer second in that category with 12 for the Judges. Eastman with that incredible double-double, 21 and 14. That's a stat line he can hang his hat on. On top of that, he also led his team in assists with 4. So 21, 14, and 4. When you're a big man inside, that is a stat line that you will want to recreate time and time again. Haggerty with 3 steals. Haggerty and Jones with 2 blocks apiece for UMass Boston. Malik Lorquette did have 9 boards, but he was one of the main contributors in terms of the free throw shooting category that has to improve. Charlie Mitchell, 4 assists. Charles Mitchell, 2 steals. Malik Lorquette, again, had the good numbers statistic-wise, had the points, had the rebounds, had the blocks, but he's just got to improve the free throw numbers, as that was the difference. 40% to 30% field goal percentage. UMass Boston shot it better, but a 30% difference in terms of the free throw shooting. That makes a difference in a 9-point basketball game. We take a look at what's ahead for UMass Boston. They will start conference play. They're one of the earliest conferences to do so. They will be at the Warriors of Eastern Connecticut next weekend, 3 o'clock on the 4th. Before they follow that up here, they complete the Eastern Connecticut, Western Connecticut swing, as they will be here inside the Clark Athletic Center Gymnasium, 7 p.m. on the 7th, before they go back out of conference, 7 p.m. on the 9th against Suffolk. A fantastic night of basketball. Anything more you want to add?
No, I think this is a great event. I mean, it's the first of hopefully many. And like you said before, maybe this is the start, and hopefully one day we won't need events like this. But the goal is to, as long as we need it, to showcase these kind of events, and hopefully it will catch on, and it'll catch on from the Division I level to Division II level to Division III level, and then you have something.
You certainly do. You heard Coach Harris. He had the plan. He wants to grow it. He wants it to get to 8, 16 teams, multiple days, all of New England, across the divisions, like you said, Odera. There's certainly a lot of room for growth, not only in terms of the black coaching tree, but in terms of a fantastic event like this. And we thank everyone at UMass Boston for putting it on. But that is the end of the time that we have on this doubleheader on this Saturday night. As always, we want to thank our incredible production team, Seth Orensky, our producer, Allie Crawford, Mary Jo Murphy, all stars on the soccer pitch, incredible directors off to my left as well. Tam Landry on instant replay. Gene Albano, Maria Spilios, Lauren Bethea. It's a soccer party here inside the production team, but my fantastic co-commentator, Odera Jones. My name is Mason South. Thank you so much for joining me on this Saturday night.